All right, people, midweek report time. So let's get into some boxing news and talk boxing. Let's do some previews. Let's talk about everything for the next 20-25 minutes. You know, I enjoy these. These are good fun. I enjoy doing them. I know a lot of people like watching them. We may premiere it, may just upload it as a blank video. Let's wait and see. But let's start and talk about Joshua Ngannou, a fight that is growing on me a lot more. A lot more. It's a very good undercard too. But this right here, right. It's not the worst price I've ever seen. Excuse me. But it's just, I've talked about it in the video. You know what I'm getting at with this. But the pay-per-view price, certainly for DAZN, has been released in the UK for Joshua versus Ngannou. Now, this is going to be shown on Sky Sports and DAZN. Okay, so you can take your pick, right? Now, the Sky Sports price hasn't been revealed. I would imagine it's going to be around about $19.99. I would imagine, right? That's what it's going to be. Now, DAZN, I've long since said when they started to bring in the pay-per-view platform that they should do a deal for current long-term subscribers. Let's say ones who've been there for 6 months to a year, thereabouts. And obviously there's people who've been there since day dot, but they should do something for those ones, right? And what I mean is just, you know, if a fight is $19.99, maybe it should be $9.99 for long-term subscribers. That's what I was thinking, right? Now, they've kind of taken that in terms of giving a reduced rate for subscribers, but it's kind of rubbed people up the wrong way, and I can kind of see why. Because if you aren't a DAZN subscriber, you're going to be paying $19.99 plus 1 month. If you are, you're going to be paying $18.99. Yes, £1, 1 full pound. You know, I've got a pound in my pocket there, so yeah, that's what you're saving. That's exactly what you're saving, £1. So yeah, I can see a lot of people are not too pleased about that, and I can't really blame them, to be honest with you. It's not a terrible price for the event, you know, $18.99 is not a terrible price, but considering that it's like, oh yeah, subscribers are getting the discount, £1, oh, that's, yeah. You know, it's like someone turning around and saying, do you know what? I've gone and I've made you dinner. You go to your missus, I've gone and I've made you dinner. Really, yeah, you know what? I'm being a good partner, being a good boyfriend. I've gone and made you dinner, and you present to her a Big Mac that you just got out of McDonald's. You're kind of like, well, technically, you know, I've done the dinner, but yeah, you're not going to be very full. It's not going to taste amazing, and maybe I should have got you nothing at all. But it's the thought that counts. That's kind of what it's like. That's literally what it's like. In terms of Joshua Ngannou, I got to make a video on this because the fight itself is growing on me. It's growing on me a lot more. I think it's going to be a particularly good event, even if it is going to be a Joshua win, I would suspect. But we obviously got to give two sides of this. We obviously got to talk about Ngannou as well. And actually, speaking of Ngannou, it says that he will return to MMA and fight the winner of Saturday night's fight. And that's going to be PFL. So he's going. Francis Ngannou ain't playing around. So if he wins, but hang on a second, if he wins, would he not be targeting the winner of Fury Usyk? Would that not be the logical next step? Because if you go MMA and say you lose, maybe you lose bad, although, you know, probably not, but say you lose bad, would that not kind of put a few people off potentially? Who knows? But Ngannou versus Joshua, I am looking a bit more forward to it. It is only about a fortnight away. Let's wait and see. In terms of the pay-per-view, yeah, look, it's not the worst price I've ever seen for a pay-per-view, but yeah, selling it as a discount when it's only £1 is a bit, yeah. Eddie Hearn has now put Edgar Berlanga forward to fight Canelo Alvarez on May the 4th if he beats Patrick McCrory on Saturday night. He said, I'm calling it out now. Canelo doesn't have an opponent if Berlanga wins in spectacular fashion. Mexico versus Puerto Rico on May the 4th. Listen, let's talk about this card and then talk about Canelo potentially facing him. So, Berlanga versus Patrick McCrory. Let's see. The card has Andy Cruz, which I like. He's in there against Brian Rodriguez. Name rings a bell. Have I seen him fight before? I probably have. Do you know that? I probably have seen this guy fight before, but it doesn't ring any bells. And I've been very impressed with Andy Cruz so far. Really, really liking what I'm seeing there. Antonio Vargas, you know, it looks pretty okay. Shakram Gozov, I think is how you say that guy's name. Pablo Cesar Cannon. Didn't he stop Linares in a round? Yeah, he did. Knocked him out. That was on a DAZN show, I think, as well, actually. Stopped Linares in a round. Pretty inactive, though, as he fought once in 2021, once in 2022, and once in 2023. He's 34 years old. Can punch a bit, so let's see. And then, obviously, you have the main event. This is in Florida, by the way. Edgar Berlanga, Patrick McCrory. Now, Berlanga, I'll talk about him and Canelo as a potential fight in a wee bit, but Berlanga itself, obviously, he amassed a 16-0 record, and they were all in the first round when he was with Top Rank. But you look at the guys he was fighting, and they were all, well, garbage, basically. I mean, it's a who's he. It really is. I mean, I don't recognize, there's journeymen, as I've said, even in divisions like super middleweight, who when you look at them, you're like, oh yeah, such and such. You know, if you go and you look at, like, say, a Darren Elboo, obviously he's long retired, but you look at people like that and you're like, oh, he beat him in a round. Oh yeah, he's normally durable, or he's dangerous, or you've this guy. And, you know, you look at heavyweight and you've got guys like Zimbarno Love back in the day, people like that. You George Arias, not the George Arias who recently fought Big Baby Anderson, the George Arias, the Brazilian guy. He's in his 40s now. He's been a journeyman for years. You get people like that who you look at, you think, oh yeah, he's beating those guys. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, it takes some doing. You know, they normally go the distance. It's not like that with any of these guys. They're all just, who's he? Then he fought Damon Nicholson. I remember that was on a Top Rank show. I think his last fight with Top Rank may have been potentially the Steve Rolls fight, if I'm not mistaken. I think that might have been his last fight with Top Rank, or maybe it was his first fight with the, yeah, I'm pretty sure that was his last fight with Top Rank. No, it wasn't actually. It was the Alexis Angulo fight. So I watched him when he stepped up to Damon Nicholson. Didn't look amazing. Fought that Korakis guy. I always get that name wrong. And he really didn't look good in that fight. He was down in that fight. I thought he lost that fight. Fought Steve Rolls. And again, his last fight was against Jay Quigley, and that was in New York City. And you look at the scorecards. Yeah, he had Quigley down a couple of times, but two scorecards of 116, 108 and 118, 106. You know, Jay Quigley went in there against Demetrius Andre and got blown out in 2 rounds. Jay Quigley is really a middleweight. He's really a 154 pounder, really, in the grand scheme of things. And you're talking about a British level fighter, if even. Jay Quigley, maybe fringe European, thereabouts. And you go in the distance and losing rounds. And this isn't a Jay Quigley who was, you know, firing on all cylinders. This is a Jay Quigley who's had 3 losses. 32 years old. This is a guy who quit against Rio Johnson years ago. So really not a good look to be, you know, going and, you know, losing rounds to Jay Quigley at this point in his career, or at any point really. Now you're fighting Patrick McCrory, who is better than Jay Quigley in my opinion. And, you know, McCrory, I'm not going to pick him. I'm not going to pick him to win. He is 35 years old. His record is 18-0 with 9 knockouts. I know that doesn't look, he's got 50% knockout ratio. On the surface, that looks like he's not really a big puncher. No. Patrick McCrory, he's a big puncher. He is a big puncher. Maybe with some guys, they're just difficult to get rid of. Maybe he's the way he's setting the shots up. But when he's landing on guys, he's hurting them. When he's getting them out of there, he's hurting them. I will never forget this fight, though. And this is the reason. This fight right here is the reason why I'm picking Berlanga. August the 3rd, 2019. That was in Fall Park. It was on the undercard of Michael Conlon versus Diego Alberto Ruiz. It was a really good card. It was on BT Sport. He had a fight with Stevie Collins Jr. And Stevie Collins Jr. is the son of Steve Collins. And basically, he is Campbell Hatton if Campbell Hatton was promoted by Frank Warren. Because he turned over with Frank Warren originally. Warren looked at him, realised this kid's going nowhere, and binned him. And he's lost, I think, 4 or 5 times. He's garbage, Steve Collins. If you ever seen him, the guy can't fight. A bit like Campbell Hatton. Although Eddie Hearn is a bit more patient with his fighters than a Frank Warren is. But he's basically cut from the same kind of mould as a Campbell Hatton. And this guy can't fight, basically. He can't fight. He was on the verge of winning that fight with Steve Collins Jr. against Patrick McCrory. I know you could say, gee, it's nearly 5 years ago. At the end of the day, Stevie Collins Jr. is what he is. He's not particularly good. And the stoppage itself was pretty controversial. If you've ever seen that fight. Should not be having close fights with Steve Collins Jr. Shouldn't be stopping him. An emergency stoppage in the last round either. Based off that performance, there's no way I think he's going to be able to beat Edgar Berlanga. I know you say Styles my fight, he's improved since then. Just the fact that you struggled that much against someone like Steve Jr., I can't. I'll be making Berlanga favourite. In terms of him versus Canelo, lamb to the slaughter. And I think Eddie Hearn knows that. I think Eddie Hearn is looking at Subriel Mateus and thinking, okay, he's the guy who's going to give me the Puerto Rican fans. It ain't going to be Edgar Berlanga. I'm looking to just cash him out against Canelo. That's all I can think he's trying to do, because he ain't beating Canelo. He ain't even going to be competitive with Canelo. I wouldn't pick Berlanga over any of the guys. I wouldn't pick him over Caliplant. Someone like that. I'd pick Caliplant to beat Edgar Berlanga. Yeah, he has a bit of power there, but he's so run-of-the-mill and crude that I wouldn't rule out Podrick McCrory, but I won't be picking him. I think he'll lose on points. As for Berlanga against Canelo, hell to the no. I mean, it would probably sell, but he would get absolutely obliterated by Alvarez. Arslan Gulamarian will defend his WBA World Cruiserweight title against Gilberto Zurdo Ramirez on the March 30th in California. The month of March shaped up to be a busy month for boxing. A very busy month. There seems to be a lot of stuff going on that month. So, hey, look, another fight. Listen, Zurdo, he's had one fight at Cruiserweight and he's already fought. He was almost mandatory. Well, he was almost able to fight for a vacant IBF title, because had it not been Opataya, it would have been him. After one fight, a 10-rounder, at a catchweight, I think it was, against Joe Smith Jr. Not necessarily saying he deserves it, but look, it is what it is. Juan Estrada versus Bam Rodriguez are reportedly in talks for a potential fight for Estrada's WBC Super Flyweight World title in June, July. I like that fight. I love that fight. I love it. Let it happen. Devin Haney versus Ryan Garcia will take place at the Barclays Center in New York. I spoke to Ade today, and we talked about that fight being in the Barclays Center, and the words I used was, that fight has Vegas written all over it. I can't rack my head why it's in the Barclays Center, because that place has been almost forgotten. You know, you forget Wilder done a lot of fights in there. Keith Thurman versus Sean Porter was there. I think it was even Keith Thurman, Danny Garcia was there. It's done a lot of fights over the years, but lately it's been almost forgotten about. And a fight like that, you would imagine you do it in Vegas. And listen, my only thought, you know, whether you think this is harsh or not, is because Eddie Hearn, everyone involved, knows that the fight is probably gonna, not even that the fight's not gonna do well, because neither guy is a Canelo, but they're being paid a lot of money, and it's like, if a Vegas place is this expensive, well then New York will be, if Vegas is here, New York is there in terms of how much we have to pay for the venue. I reckon that's what's happening there. In terms of the fight itself, listen, like, neither guy is a Canelo, quite frankly. If that fight does 250k views, I would consider that a success, quite frankly. I would. I genuinely would. Al Heyman PBCs are reportedly now ready to pay Canelo Alvarez's guaranteed purse of around 35 million. Just casually around 35. Just as casually as around 35 mil there. It's in my back pocket. 35 mil. Imagine. One fight, 35 mil. I'll gladly fight Canelo for 35 mil. He can, as long as I survive, I'll be happy. As long as I come out living, I'll be happy. I will be running around that ring like my life depended on it for 35 mil. I will leave that ring. I will do however many laps around that ring for 35 mil. For a fight versus Jaime Munguia on May the 4th. But not if he insists on Jamal Charlo. Claimed the PBC believed that fight against Munguia would sell better. I agree. I think it would sell better. I really do. I think it would sell much better, quite frankly. Yeah, quite frankly I do. And listen, I want to see Canelo versus Benavidez. I'm blue in the face saying it. I'm sick of saying it at this stage. I want to see Canelo versus Benavidez. Munguia, listen, if he fights Munguia, I will be saying, right, but there you go, you fought a Mexican. So no excuse to not fight Benavidez. That excuse, oh well, I don't fight. No. Benavidez is born in Arizona, right? So Benavidez is Mexican American. He's born in Arizona. But if you fight Munguia, You can fight Benavidez. You can fight Benavidez. He's your mandatory, for God's sake. He is. Canelo Alvarez is mandatory with the BBC, and I know they're not ordering it, they probably won't, but his mandatory is Benavidez. Fight Benavidez. All this, but Canelo has such a brilliant resume, and he does. He's got a Hall of Fame resume. He's brilliant. But he's undisputed champion. It's not like, just because Canelo has, fought the majority of his contemporaries, there is still contemporaries there to fight. You can just say, no, he's mission accomplished. No, he's not. If Benavidez is mandatory, fight him. And Benavidez is claiming to be the best. So fight him. That's what I got to say on that. Josh Taylor, Jack Catterall. Oh my God. Do you know what, right? Do you know what? I'm starting to get more into this fight. A bit like Joshua versus NGANNOU. I'm starting to get way more into this fight. I really am. I genuinely really am. There's beef there. There's needle there. It's happening on neutral grounds in Leeds. I'm looking forward to it. I really am. I think it's going to be a lot more intriguing than the first fight. I think there's going to be a lot more beef there. There's a lot more needle there. Josh Taylor seems to be winding up Jack Catterall. And yeah, I don't know how. Part of me feels Jack Catterall needs to just be as calm as can be. I know it can be difficult, but he needs to be as calm as can be. I was going to say John, I was reading a thing here. If Josh Taylor gives you reasons to bite, don't. That's what I gotta say. I know that sounds easier said than done, but you don't want to go in there overthinking things and really going in, because I know it's going to sound harsh on Jack Catterall, but one of his kind of things is that he's just a boxer who's just kind of pedestrian almost, and just goes through the motions, and he doesn't really fight with a chip on his shoulder. Maybe that's what Josh Taylor wants. He wants Jack Catterall coming out and just being like rah, rah, rah. And there you go, I can fight you at close range, I can counter you, I can hit you with uppercuts, boom, I'm having the fight that I want, not the fight that you want. Maybe that's what he's trying to do. I don't know. I'm looking forward to it nevertheless. Okay, so Sullivan is saying that Crawford-Spence rematch will not be happening. I've already seen that. I've also seen that Sullivan says he wants 5, maybe 6 judges for the Fury versus Usyk fight. And I did see Joe Stunner Boxing in the comment section say that he would love to have a chat on that, because he was saying a bit of a disagree, all respectful of course as always, and that he'd love to come on and chat about it. I'll try and arrange something in the next week to a fortnight. Alright mate, in the next week to a fortnight we'll try and arrange something, and we'll go and we'll have a chat about that, amongst other things. We're obviously not just going to chat about that, but we'll have a friendly conversation as we always do. We'll try and arrange something with that 100%. Alright, we will. We'll try and do it at 100%. Pulev versus Char. March 30th in Sofia. Damn. It's like just two old timers, We have a title, sort of. Let's fight each other. We're both way past it. I can't believe that. And you know what the weird thing is? They're going to sell, that's going to be sold as a world title fight, and the winner is going to be saying, I'm WBA champion. You're not really though, are you? You're not really. It is. It's just madness. What else do we have here? Not an awful lot. Berlanga, McCRORY isn't dangerous. I wouldn't go that far. I mean, you've been dropped by lesser punchers, so I wouldn't go that far. Williams admits he's considering his future after Shearer's loss. I just look, again, I'm not telling him what necessarily to do, but honestly, like if I was in his team, I'd say, mate, here's a fork, I'm sticking it in you. You're done. If you are struggling that much with punch resistance, I mean, it was and again, I was talking to a guy I was sitting next to at ringside, and when his trainer Gary Lockett was up so quick with the towel in that fight, that to me is obviously an indication that he's seen things in camp, he's seen things in training, and he was like, look, he can't hold a shot, because he was hurt in that first round, but there was still time left. we've seen people turn around. The fact he was up so quick with that tail, for me, it was an indication that he's like, you know what, it's shown in camp. He doesn't have it. That punch resistance is just gone. And he obviously knew. So I would say that Liam Williams, it's crazy to think he's not that old, but he just looks like it. I really don't know how that happened. I genuinely, because it's not like he's had a really punishing career where you can look and say, oh God, Liam Williams has had war after war after war. He's not really had that. So I don't really know where the punch resistance has gone so quick. I'm stumped. I really genuinely don't know. But that's what that is. Vidal Riley links long-term deal with Boxer. Okay, he's not thinking about his long-term future, it seems. Taylor's worst mistake will put pay to Jack Catterall. What else do we have here? Danny Garcia wants to fight Conor Benn at 154 in the UK. There ain't no bigger name than me. There probably is. I mean, Danny Garcia was never pay-per-view star, even in his prime. I'd say if I was Conor Benn or Eddie Hearn, I'd be saying, yeah, why not? Bring him over to the UK 154, because Danny Garcia had power. It's weird, right? Danny Garcia was very flat-footed at 140 pounds. Very flat-footed at 140 pounds. But it did always mean he was on balance to throw power shots, right? But then he moved up to 147. Now, Danny Garcia, I would say at 140, he was a above-average puncher. When he went to 147, he became just a fairly average run-of-the-mill puncher. But his footwork seemed to be a lot better. He seemed to have a bit more spring in his step. And obviously, he was cutting a lot of weight to get down to 140. But then he obviously had the fight against Keith Thurman. Competitive fight, lost it. Another competitive fight against Sean Paul. Again, I wouldn't make a case for Garcia winning either of those fights. Even though on the scorecards they were close, I wouldn't make a case for him winning either of them. And then obviously he has the fight against Errol Spence, which was Spence's first fight back after the car crash. And a lot of people, myself included, were thinking, oh, what kind of Spence are we going to get? He looked very good in that fight. He really did. So Garcia at 147 is faded. He was looking to fight Erislandy Lara at 160. That fight seemingly not happening. Look, if I was Conor Benn, I'd be like, look, Danny Garcia has never shown a bad chin. And Conor Benn certainly doesn't appear to have the same power that he once had. So I would imagine that's a distance fight. Why not? I mean, like, what else are you really going to do? You know, I'm struggling. I'm really struggling with that one. What else is there? I don't think there's a great deal much. There's a great deal much else of news or any kind of real news that's coming out there. And I think I ended up thinking, like, I think I recorded a review of the week thinking that's a 20-minute video, and I looked at the recording time and I was like, oh crap, it's a half hour. Not that there's something wrong. Sometimes I just don't want to have. I think 20 to 25 minutes is the sweet spot if you can get it all in and out and done in that frame of time. So I'm going to leave it there. Let me know your thoughts on everything. Did I miss anything? What are your thoughts on Jack Catterall, Josh Taylor, this weekend's fight, Berlanga versus Patrick McCrory, Joshua versus Ngannou, the pay-per-view price, Fury Usyk, officials, stuff like that? Again, that's Sullivan just trying to, show that, yes, I have some power. You do, yeah, brilliant. As the saying goes, with great power comes great responsibility, and you have great power, but responsibility, yeah, you're behaving more like a tyrannical dictator than you are a guy who runs a sanctioning body. You're acting like, we can change it, we can do this, we can change everything. We can fix things that were never broken. Don't do that. Just don't. Anyway, I'll leave it there. I hope you enjoyed it. Smash the like button if you could. Subscribe, of course, as always, if you haven't already. And for now, lads and lassies, I'll talk to you. Peace.